You were on with Gilbert and I before the season, and you wrote a great article about Chris Shula,
Hmm.
and everything you've told us has pretty much come true in terms of what the expectation was for Chris Shula. He's been more aggressive than what we saw from Raheem Morris. Just what's been your assessment of him, and in terms of everything that you told us, and what's made him successful? Because that front four, everything that you told us about, that they were going to generate pressure, it's come true. So it has it been everything that you expected from Chris Shula?
Well, it certainly didn't look good early when we watched
Right.
them play the Cardinals, and I was at that game and I just went, wow, like they really struggled defensively. But I think as those rookies got more reps, and there's 5 rookies, I believe, either starting or playing meaningful minutes defensively, you've just seen them get more comfortable and start to emerge and play with a lot more confidence. Obviously, Jared Verse is the leader of that group with the way he's been playing, but Braden Fisk is playing well. And so you're able to have those two guys, kind of working in concert with each other. Young has done a nice job coming off the edge. Kobe's doing his thing. Omar Spites has emerged as a guy in the middle that could kind of, make plays defensively. Still don't feel like they should have got rid of Ernest Jones, but I understand why they did what they did. And then the two guys in the secondary, you talk about Kitchens and I believe it's McCullough, the
Jalen
undrafted
McCullough.
rookie,
Yeah.
Jaden
Hmm.
McCullough, that they're playmaking guys in the middle of that defense that have taken the ball away, which I think is important. And so you're getting pretty good play at all 3 levels, and you're getting consistent play. And then I think what Shula has done is found those guys that have talent and then put them in positions to make plays. And that's all you can ask your defensive coordinator to do, is really just kind of, develop that talent, and then how do we put them in position so they can help us and play to their full potential. Connor Lake's another guy. I think he's got he's leading the team, right? 90 some tackles. Is that correct?
Yeah, and he's the green dot. I mean, he's the one
Right.
that has been calling the defense for them, and so as a safety, or I guess the star player, or star position, to be able to do that, it's been really impressive for Quinn Lake. So that's pretty good to see that. And then I wanted to ask you, just the next 10 days, how big is that, in terms of, you have that bet with Dan and Daigle. How big are the next 10 days for this team? Because you're going up against a Bills team who's coming in hot, 7 straight. You have Terminator as their quarterback back
Mhm.
there. And one of the things we talked about was, you need to win one of those games between the Eagles and the Bills at home, and
Right.
then you get the short week against San Francisco. And as you mentioned, they're not doing well. So how big is it for them to win this division the next 10 days?
I think it's huge. And thanks for correcting me, Quentin Lake, not Connor
Yeah,
Lake, his dad, of course.
his dad.
Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
if they can get 2 out of the next 3, and go into those last 2 games with Arizona and Seattle, I believe, at home,
Yes.
um, I think
They
you like
finish
their
up with those two
right.
teams.
So I understand what you're saying. These next 3, if they could somehow find a way to win 2 of them, that gets them to 8-7, right? Going into
Hmm.
those last 2 games, then I think you have to like their chances. I feel like first team to 10 wins the division. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how I'm looking at it. If you get the double digits, I think you avoid the tiebreakers. I think 9-8, you have to start worrying about tiebreakers and how you did against not only other teams in your division, but other teams in the conference. You start going to those second and third, terms in terms of breaking a tiebreaker. So to get the next 2 out of 3 is important. The Bills are playing really good right now, but I still like the Rams' chances to make it close. The reason I say that is, the Bills are going to play at 5 defensive backs. They're the number
Hmm.
1 team in the league in terms of 5 defensive backs. They play it over 95% of the time. Along with that, they play light boxes, according to Next Gen uh, stats, I think 55% of the time, which is top 5 in the league. So you're going to be able to run the football. And you saw that
Yeah.
San Francisco could run the football against those guys, but they just kept making so many mistakes to stall drives. So I hope Sean McVay will stay with running the football. At times,
Yeah.
he gets away from
Especially in the red zone, Eric.
I love
Especially
your
in the red
tweets.
zone.
But this should be a Kyron Williams game, right? Kyron Williams should run up and
Yes.
down the field against this defense. And if they can get that balance and you don't have Stafford, with people in his face and you can work off of that, I think they should be able to score against Buffalo. So I like a high scoring game with them have a chance to win it.
Von Miller, 2 sacks. I'm calling it right now on his former team. Eric, what do you make of Matthew Stafford's season? 66% completion, 2,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 picks. Just does it doesn't look as clean cut as it has been in the past. It kind of looks like it's a roller. Well, even last year was a little bit of a roller coaster, and even the year after the Super Bowl was kind of a roller coaster. But is that just what you get from Matthew Stafford? It's kind of a roller coaster all season long, or what have you made of his season so far?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it also has to do with who was available. I mean, Cooper was hurt, Puka was hurt, 3/5 of the O-line was out. And so they didn't really have a lot of continuity because so many guys were in and out of the lineup. But I believe over the 5 of the last 6 games, he's thrown for at least 2 touchdowns. So he's heating up when you want him to heat up. And then, I'll take Stafford when he's playing well over most quarterbacks in the league. Because, for the most part, he's going to make the right decision. He is going to have the occasional, turnover because he's going to take risk. Oopsie. And I think, McVay's willing to live with that. So I think amongst the 4 quarterbacks that are left in the division, I think you probably would go with Stafford in terms of how he's playing right now. And he's got a Super Bowl ring. So he's done it. So I think that not only gives Stafford a lot of confidence, it gives the rest of the guys around him that are playing with him.
How much do you think Cooper has left in the tank?
Man, like Cooper's my dude. So, Washington native.
Washington guy.
I played against his father growing up. So,
oh, wow.
Got to see his father throw footballs all over the place. When I was at the University of Puget Sound, he was at Pacific Lutheran University. So obviously the lineage is there when you look at both his father and grandfather, played in the league. But the injuries are concerning. I mean, you have to acknowledge that. He's dealt with a lot of stuff over the last couple of years, and he doesn't look like he has as much juice as he had, obviously a couple of years ago during that MVP season. That said, smart player. He's going to be in the right place, right spot. It's going to play hard, and I think he's also willing to do the dirty work, knowing that Puka is kind of the guy right now, and willing to kind of play, more of a wingman role than the number 1 role, similar to what Robert Woods did when Cooper was the guy. I think, Cooper has kind of assumed that Robert Woods role as the number 2 receiver. He's going to block. He's going to run the decoy routes if that's what he has to do. But he's also a guy that you can go to and he can win one-on-one, especially near the red zone. I think we've seen that a couple times. So still a good player, just not the MVP caliber player that he was of a couple years ago.
Real quick, Vic. I love the way he blocks. He's such a good blocking receiver. Like he comes up and he does the dirty work, and that's what I feel like. I mean, guys like him, Keenan Allen, some of these guys, like they're going to do their dirty work, and that's why I feel like they're opening up run lanes as well because they bring in Cooper into motion, and then he comes out and he blocks. So I'm that's one thing that I've always given Cooper. He's a really good blocker.
Complete player.